Hey everybody, it's Jake Mace, the vegan athlete, and this is a very important video today, especially for those of you who are experiencing record-breaking heat wherever you live. I look across the weather map and a lot of cities across the US especially are experiencing record-breaking heat. In the Phoenix area we had 121 degrees the other day, and when it's that hot, your trees suffer. Okay, your trees will suffer the same amount as a cold day will produce. Okay, so an incredibly cold day in your climate will frostbite your trees. An incredibly hot day in your climate will fry your trees. And a good example of that is this fig tree right here. This fig tree is a black mission fig, and he's growing really well. He's produced a lot of figs for me, and this guy's leaf structure looks pretty nice. So if you look at these big leaves, looking really nice and good. A lot of new growth this year. He added a couple of feet of new growth. But when it hit north of 115 degrees, this kind of stuff starts to happen. The good leaves start to crinkle up like this. And a lot of you out there in my urban gardening in Arizona Facebook group start to cry. And you guys use that Facebook crying face though. And don't cry, because the tree back in May and back in April and back in March, the tree was like Nostradamus, and he predicted it was going to be super, super hot in June and July. And so what happened was all that new growth you were excited about in April and in May, and you were bragging about, oh, look at all this new growth I got on my trees. That was the body armor and the self-defense for this tree. So about the final 10% of new growth or so on these trees was not supposed to make it. It was supposed to be the body armor and the self-defense for the sun. So these leaves right here, the new ones, were not supposed to make it. They got crinkly, and I'm gonna leave them on the tree, because if I crush them up, they will not be able to shade the good stuff down below. If I leave them on the tree, they'll shade the good stuff down below. Another example of this is this tiger panache fig. This guy is a younger fig, but he's still growing very nicely. And look at all the new growth looking very, very nice. This tiger panache fig was putting off like 1 to 2 feet of new growth in April and May. But now when it got to be north of 115 and especially 121, you just can't win. The leaves start to singe and that new growth starts to become crispy. But that's okay, because that's gonna provide some shade for the good growth down beneath. And when the temperatures drop back down again, a little lower, and when the monsoon season kicks in and the humidity goes up, the tree will grow again. Another example is my Arizona avocado underneath the shade over here. Come on into my shade cave. This right here is the Aravaipa. It's June 20-something, 21st or so, 22nd or so. And this guy's looking really good. And see how the growth got above my hand now. So it's approaching 9-10 feet. And the leaves look pretty good. If you look at this branch, it looks really nice. Even though it's super hot, 115, 120. Okay, and he was looking really good. Every single branch, the new growth was looking like this about 3 weeks ago. But again, when it got north of 115 degrees, especially 121, a lot of the tips started to look like that. And that's okay, because that's just because it's 121. Avocado trees are not native to this area, even though this native Arizona avocado has been growing in Arizona for over 100 years. They're not as native as like an ironwood is, or a mesquite, or a palo verde is. And so they will show damage when it gets to be super hot. You know, 121, you just can't win. But the goal was, back in March and April and May, did you provide enough new growth in these trees through your worm castings, your food, your foliar feed, and your watering to give him that self-defense and that body armor? So up top here, this guy lost a leaf too. But that's okay, because that was supposed to happen. The tree grew an extra 10% a few weeks ago in order to allow 10% of that leaf structure to singe up and provide shade to the good stuff down below. And I guarantee you, when the dew point temperature rises up to monsoon levels, and when the temperature drops back down to like 105, these avocados will have another growth spurt and grow again. So with gardening, what I'm noticing is that it's always 3 steps forward, 1 step back. It's not 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's 3 steps forward, 1 step back. It's like 3 months in the spring of good growth, 1 step back in the summer. 3 months of good growth in the fall, 1 step back in the winter. So if you guys provide a really good climate, good soil, good water, and a good microclimate for your fruit trees, you will experience the Jake Mace 3 steps forward, 1 step back, like I'm experiencing. Please join me at my Urban Gardening in Arizona Facebook group. It's a great group full of thousands of members that share their gardening experiences. Go vegan and grow your food at home, and I will see you guys back here for the next video.